Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Early evening sports buffet with the Ginch. I am said Ginch, Ryan Neff, your host. For some odd reason, it was fine on my last show, but now all of a sudden it will not let me go to my Ginch page where I have all my stuff at. So fuck it. I'm just gonna have to wing it, I guess. But welcome to another edition of Early Evening Sports Buffet, Tuesday, Tuesday, April 14th, here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. All kinds of shit going on in the world of sports. If you're living under a rock, Rory Masters won the Masters. Rory McIlroy won the Masters. Can't talk today for some reason. His second in a row. His sixth major overall. They're tying him with many. Nick Faldo, Phil Mickelson, some others. He never makes it easy, that's for sure. Congratulations to him. All kinds of shit going on in the NBA. NBA playing game, ninth place between the Heat and the Hornets. Right now, the Hornets up on the Heat in the first, 26-18. Coming up at 8:30 here, a good friend of the program, Jeff Wald. He'll be joining. I'll be talking Minnesota sports with him. Timberwolves have drawn the Denver Nuggets in the first round. I had to go take a look at the Wild, see who they drew in the first round. Oh, and by the way, the Twins doing relatively well to start the season, and the Minnesota Golden Gophers, they have their spring game, Minnesota Golden Gophers football, April 25th. Some news and notes from around the world in sports. Ex-Michigan Wolverine coach Sharon Moore, he gets probation for his misdemeanors, and he avoids jail time. Put up in Dan Wetzel, Espen. He was sentenced to 18 months probation and fined just over $1,000 for two misdemeanors stemming from the incident at the apartment of a staff member. Remember back in November? He pleaded no contest to trespassing and malicious use of a telecommunications device involving a domestic relationship in exchange for dropping more serious charges, including a felony. District Court Judge Cedric Simpson said on Tuesday, "I don't believe when I look at the entirety of the situation that incarceration should be appropriate. I warn you, Mr. Moore, should there be a violation, all bets are off. I don't like sending people to jail, but I don't have a problem doing it." He went on to say, "Frankly, Mr. Moore, you had no right to do what you did. I know she was placed in fear. It was a traumatic experience for you. It was certainly a traumatic experience for her, but you had no right to spread your pain to her." Shiver, who was the staffer, by the way, she said in a statement today, "He broke into my apartment crying, yelling, and raged and came at me with knives. I was threatened and I feared for my life." She said, "The sentence does not reflect the harm done to me." So he gets off with a slap on the wrist, basically. Go figure. Diana Rossini, she has resigned from The Athletic amidst the allegations between her and Mike Vrabel photos. The photo. Her resignation letter reads as such. If I can pull it up here. This was addressed in an email to Stephen Ginsburg, the executive editor for The Athletic. It says, "Dear Stephen, please accept this letter as my resignation from The Athletic, effective immediately. I have come to this decision with deep sadness, but with clarity about what is right for me, my family, and the work I have spent my career building. You and I have already publicly addressed the recent attacks against me, and I have nothing to add publicly to what we have said. I've covered the NFL with professionalism and dedication throughout my career, and I stand behind every story I have ever published. When the page 6 item first appeared, The Athletic supported me unequivocally, expressed confidence in my work, and pride in my journalism. For that I am grateful. In the days that followed, unfortunately, commentators in various media have engaged in self-feeding speculation that is simply unmoored from the facts. Moreover, this media frenzy is hurtling forward without regard for the review process The Athletic is trying to complete. It continues to escalate, fueled by repeated leaks, and I have no interest in submitting to a public inquiry that has already caused far more damage than I am willing to accept. Rather than allowing this to continue, I have decided to step aside now, for my current contract expires on June 30th. I do so not because I accept the narrative that has been constructed around this episode, but because I refuse to lend it further oxygen or to let it define me or my career. Over a career spanning more than 15 years in sports journalism at NBC, ESPN, and The Athletic, I have built a body of work I am proud of. I have broken stories, earned the trust of sources across the league, and been guided by the highest standards of professional conduct. That record speaks for itself. I remain grateful to The Athletic and for the extraordinary colleagues with whom I have worked there, for the platform it provided, and for the support you showed me during this difficult time. I wish you nothing but continued success. Again, we will have to keep an eye on this, where the potential investigation leads, but we'll just have to see. End of the first, Hornets over the Heat, 26-14. Heat and on a 6-0 run in the first. This is the 9th place versus 10th place play-in game. The Raiders, they're getting calls about the number 1 draft pick. I said this a couple of months ago. I was not sold on Mendoza being the number 1 overall pick. If somebody is willing to give up the house for Mendoza, why wouldn't the Raiders do it if they're going to garner more and more picks? Reported by Ryan McFadden, Esmond. The Raiders are expected to keep the pick, he is saying. But that hasn't stopped teams from calling general manager John Spidek about the possibility of trading for the top draft choice. Spidek said on Tuesday, or Spidek. We've gotten a few calls and those teams know where they stand. So I still think that there's an outside chance that they trade out of the number 1 spot. I really do. Let's see, what else do we have here? There is no update on Luka Doncic returning. There's no timetable for his return. Sergio Garcia has apologized for his outburst at the Masters, reported by ESPN News Services. You remember on hole number 2, he was displeased with his tee shot, and then he snapped his driver. He threw a hissy fit. He did issue an apology on social media Tuesday. Quote unquote, I want to apologize for my actions on Sunday at the Masters tournament. I respect and value everything that the Masters and Augusta National Golf Club is to golf. I regret the way I acted, and there's no place in our game it doesn't reflect the respect and appreciation I have for the Masters, the patrons, the tournament officials, and the golf fans around the world. So he apologized. World of College Football, Iowa has had to vacate 4 wins from their 2023 season. In the Cade McNamara tampering case, supported by Jake Trotter Espen, the NCAA said that Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz and assistant John Budmeyer participated in 13 phone calls with McNamara and sent 2 text messages prior to him entering the portal in November of 2022. McNamara left Michigan a few days later and transferred to Iowa. It says here in a joint statement, Iowa President Barb Wilson and Athletic Director Beth Getz said that they are disappointed in the ruling. Quote unquote, we are very disappointed in today's ruling by the Committee on Infractions. Throughout this nearly 2.5-year process, the university has fully cooperated with the NCAA enforcement staff. More importantly, when the facts revealed that violations had taken place, the institution and the head coach publicly accepted full responsibility and self-imposed several significant sanctions, something few others have done. We believe the decision of adding the penalty of the forfeiture of wins is unwarranted. The matter is now closed. We have to move forward. Head coach Kirk Ferentz said, I am disappointed by the NCAA's decision today. Throughout the process, our program has been open and honest about my mistake, contacting a potential player in the hours before it was permissible by NCAA rules. I felt it was important to make amends for the issue, which is why I voluntarily served a 1-game suspension to start the 2023 season. I believe today's decision by the NCAA vacating 4 wins in our 2023 season is overly harsh and inconsistent with the violation. As I tell our team and staff, it is how you respond and move forward that defines you. Our focus now is on the 2026 season, and that is how we are moving forward. McNamara went 4-1 in the 2023 season to begin the season, and then he messed up his knee, and it was sayonara. Let's go to the NBA, shall we? So right now, the play-in game, Heat and the Hornets, it's 30-26 Hornets in a second. Later on, you have Portland and Phoenix with their play-in game. That is the West 7th place team versus the 8th place team. Again, I believe these play-in games are fucking stupid, but what do I know? Just take the top 8 teams and just see it, please. In the East, 1 against 8, 2 against 7, yada yada yada. In the West, same thing. 1 against the play-in games. They're asinine. They don't make any sense. Just another way for the owners in the NBA to make money, but it's stupid. It really is. But let me go to the NBA playoff bracket. As soon as it comes up here. In the Western Conference, the Thunder will play the winner of the play-in games. They are the number 1 overall seed. Number 2 seeded Spurs will play the winner of that Suns Trailblazers game. Number 3 seeded the Nuggets will play the 6 seeded Timberwolves. And in an entertaining one, I believe it will be the 4 seeded Lakers will play the number 5 seed Rockets. Out there in the Eastern Conference, the Pistons will play the winner of one of the play-in games. The number 2 Celtics will play the winner of the 7th seed play-in game winner, which will either be the 76ers or the Magic. The 3rd seed Knicks will play the number 6 seeded Hawks, and the 4th seeded Cavs will play the 5th seeded Raptors. I think the Thunder will easily win their first round matchup. Lakers Rockets, I'm going to take the Rockets to win that matchup. The Nuggets against the Timberwolves. I'm going to take the Nuggets to eke one out. Spurs against the Suns Trailblazers. I think the Spurs will win that one. Pistons will win their first round matchup. The Celtics, whether it's the 76ers or Magic, I think that'll be a tough series, although I think the Celtics will prevail. The Knicks at the Hawks. I think the Knicks win. The Cavaliers at the Raptors. I like the Raptors for some reason. Don't ask me why. Second round, Thunder against the Rockets. I like the Thunder in that series. The Nuggets and the Spurs. I'm going to take the Spurs to knock off the Nugs. Eastern Conference, Pistons against the Raptors in the second round. I have the Pistons winning. Then I have the Celtics playing the Knicks. And I think the Celtics get their revenge from last year with Jason Tatum going out. So I have the Thunder playing the Spurs. For the Western Conference title, I think the Spurs will beat them. I like the Spurs to come out of the West. Now in the Eastern Conference, I believe the Pistons will play the Celtics. Pistons are on a journey. I'm a Celtics fan. I just don't think they have the depth that the Pistons do. So the Pistons will play the Spurs for the title, and I have the Pistons winning the NBA title. Let me jump to the NHL. The playoff bracket there. As soon as it comes up here, give me just a second. It's buffering. In the West, excuse me. Colorado will play the Kings. First round matchup. Dallas will play Minnesota, which should be a dandy. The Vegas Golden Knights will play the Utah Mammoth. Edmonton plays Anaheim. So again, Colorado, number one overall seed, will play the wild card number 2, the Kings. Dallas, D2, will play Minnesota, D3. Vegas, D1, will play Utah, wild card 1. Edmonton, D2, plays Anaheim, D3. Over there in the Eastern Conference, Buffalo, D1, will play Boston as the wild card 1. Tampa Bay Lightning, D2, against Montreal, D3. Carolina, D1, plays the Ottawa Senators, which is the wild card 2. And the Battle of Pennsylvania should be a bloodbath. Pittsburgh, the D2, plays Philly, the D3. First round, I have Colorado beating the Kings. I have Dallas beating the Wild. Vegas, I have taking out Utah. And I have Anaheim beating Edmonton. Over there in the East, I've got Buffalo coming out of the first round to beat Boston. I've got Tampa Bay to beat Montreal to come out of the first round. Carolina over Ottawa in the first round. And I've got Philly beating Pittsburgh to come out of the first round. So second round out in the West, Colorado against Dallas. I have Colorado winning that one. And then the Vegas Golden Knights against the Anaheim Ducks. I got the Ducks to win. Over there in the East, I've got Tampa Bay beating Buffalo. I've got Carolina taking out Philly. Western Conference Finals, Colorado against Anaheim. I have Colorado coming out of the West. And then the East, Tampa Bay against Carolina. I have Carolina. So it'll be Colorado against Carolina. I have. And as much as I would like to see the Hurricanes win, I just think the Colorado's on a mission. I have the Colorado Avalanche winning this year's Stanley Cup. We still have some business to take care of in the National Hockey League, though. Goings on right now. The Bruins over the Devils 4-0. That's in the second. In the second, the Hurricanes up on the Islanders 1-0. Flyers up on the Canadians 2-1. That's in the second. In the second, Capitals Blue Jackets tied 1 apiece, and just underway in the first, the Ducks and the Wild are scoreless. Jets the Mammoth, Avalanche at the Flames, Penguins at the Blues, and the Kings at the Canucks. Go to Major League Baseball, shall we? So baseball news, Christian Yelich, he's out for a month with an adductor strain. That sucks. Baltimore Orioles manager Craig Albanez, he has cheek fractures, 7 of them in his jaw. He was struck by a line drive Monday night during a game against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hopefully he'll be on the mend. The San Diego Padres, Mr. Pivetta, he lands on the 15-day IL due to an elbow issue. Mr. Pepiot for the Rays, he has gotten a hip injection. He has been added to the 60-day IL. Let's go to scores going on right now. Bottom of the 6th, the Diamondbacks are up on the Orioles 4-2. Top of the 6th, Phillies and Cubs are tied 3 apiece. Bottom of the 7th, Royals up on the Tigers 1-0. Bottom of the 6th, Reds up on the Giants 2-1. Top of the 5th, Nationals up on my Pirates 5-3. Top of the 5th, Angels up on the Yankees 4-0. Mid 4th, Marlins over the Braves 4-3. Bottom of the 3rd, the Twins up on the Red Sox 2-0. Right now, top of the 3rd, Rays up on the White Sox 3-0. End of the 3rd, Blue Jays Brewers are scoreless. End of the 2nd, Guardians up on the Cardinals 2-1. Top of the 2nd, Rockies over the Astros 1-0. Later on, Mariners, Padres, Rangers, Athletics, Mets, Dodgers. Let's go to the standings, shall we? As I do every week. The American League East, it's a logjam. Yankees and the Orioles, both 9-7 apiece. They're on top. The Rays are 3rd. They're 8-7. Blue Jays are 6-9. They're 4th, 2.5 back. Red Sox in last, 6-10, 3 back. In the Central, Twins and the Guardians up on top of the division with 10-7 records. The Royals are 3rd, 7-9, along with the Tigers, 7-9. Tigers struggling. They're both 2.5 back. Chicago White Sox in last, 6-10. They're 3.5 back. Out there in the West, another logjam. Rangers up on top 9-7. The Athletics in second, 8-8. They're a game back. Angels are 3rd, 8-9, as are the Mariners. Mariners struggling too. They're both 8-9, a game and a half back. And the Stros have done this the last couple of years, struggling. 6-11. They are 3.5 back. In the National League East, another logjam. Most of these divisions are logjams. The Braves are 10-7 on top. Marlins are 2nd at 9-8. They're a game back. The Phillies, 3rd, 8-8, 1.5 back. The Nationals, 4th, 7-9, 2.5 back. The Mets are in last place, 7-10, 3 games back. In the Central, my Pirates, I'm still waiting for the collapse. They're on top with a 10-6 record. Reds are 2nd, 9-7. They're a game back. The Brewers are 3rd, 8-7, a game and a half back. The Cardinals, 4th, 8-8, 2 back. And the Cubs are 7-9 and last, 3 games back. Out there in the West, as you would expect, Dodgers are 12-4, up on top. The Padres are 2nd, 10-6, 2 games back. Diamondbacks are 3rd. They're 9-8, 3.5 back. Rockies, 4th, as are the Giants. They're both 6-10, 6 games back. Again, Rory won the Masters, second in a row. My guess at next month's PGA Championship, he will most likely be one of the favorites to win there. Soccer this weekend. Actually, let me go back to golf. Just a second. Oh, if you're wondering, Rory earned $4.5 million for the win. If you finish 54th like Charles Schwartzel did, you get $52,500. Excuse me. LPGA will kick off again this weekend. The JM Eagle LA Championship presented by DIPIETRO out there in Tarzana, California at the El Caballero Country Club. PGA Tour Champions, they will kick off again this week down there in Bradenton, Florida at the Concession Golf Club. Liv still has off. The DP World Champion Tour. As soon as it comes up here. I said as soon as it comes up here. For some reason, it's not coming up here. Okay, we'll have to skip that one. And the Corn Ferry Tour, they are at Tulum, Mexico. They're at the PGA Riviera Maya. So they're there. Soccer. The EPL kicked back off again this weekend. On Saturday, my Arsenal club shit the bed at home, no less, against Bournemouth. They lose 2-1. Brentford and Everton tied 2 apiece. Brighton over Burnley 2-0, and Liverpool beat Fulham 2-0. Then on Sunday, Crystal Palace beat Newcastle 2-1. Nottingham Forest and Villa tied 1 apiece. Sunderland beat Tottenham 1-0, and Chelsea went down to Man City 3-0. So let's go to the standings as they stand right now. Arsenal still has a 6-point lead on Man City in the table. Arsenal's first, Manchester City is second. Man United's third with 55 points, and Aston Villa fourth with 55 points. Right now, at the season end today, those 4 teams would be in next year's Champions League tournament. Right now, on relegation, Tottenham, I said I would never see, I thought I'd never see the day. They are 2 points behind West Ham. Burnley and Wolverhampton are both going to be relegated. They are way out of the picture. But I never thought that I would see Tottenham get relegated, and they're close to doing so. And I believe, let's see, we've got some teams have 6 more games left. Not saying they're going to get relegated, but it's not looking good. For your NASCAR jabones like me, Ty Gibbs won the race at Bristol. They outdueled Ryan Blaney. So he wins there. I will go down the list here. In the 37th position was Alex Bowman. Chad Fincham was 36th. 35th, John Hunter Nemechek. 34th, Shane Van Gisbergen. 33rd, Connor Zilic. 32nd, Josh Berry. 31st, Cody Ware. 30th, William Byron. 29th, Ty Dillon. 28th, Cole Custer. 27th, Christopher Bell. 26th, Noah Gregson. 25th, Kyle Busch. 24th, Michael McDowell. 23rd, Eric Jones. 22nd, Chase Elliott. 21st, Riley Herbst. 20th, Ross Chastain. 19th, Zane Smith. 18th, Austin Dillon. 17th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 16th, Austin Cindric. 15th, AJ Allmendinger. 14th, Brad Keselowski. 13th, Chris Buescher. 12th, Daniel Suarez. 11th, Bubba Wallace. 10th, Carson Hocevar. 9th, Denny Hamlin. 8th, Ryan Preece. 7th, Joey Logano. 6th, Todd Gilliland. 5th, Chase Briscoe. 4th, Tyler Reddick. 3rd, Kyle Larson. 2nd, Ryan Blaney. 1st, Ty Gibbs. Whoops. McPhil. Let's go to the standings after this particular race. If the season ended today, in 16th spot is Shane Van Gisbergen. 15th is Daniel Suarez. 14th is Ryan Preece. 13th is Carson Hocevar. 12th, Carson Hocevar. 12th, Joey Logano. 11th, Brad Keselowski. 10th, Chris Buescher. 9th, Christopher Bell. 8th, Bubba Wallace. 7th, William Byron. 6th, Kyle Larson. 5th, Chase Elliott. 4th, Ty Gibbs. 3rd, Denny Hamlin. 2nd, Ryan Blaney. And in the first position is Tyler Reddick. Let's see. Just 1 minute. Having some technical difficulties. Hopefully Jeff will be on here soon. He tried the one link that I sent him. It looks like it didn't work. So I just sent him a new link. Hopefully he'll be able to pop on here. Hopefully. We'll see. Here he comes. Let's bring him on. There he is. It's Mr. Jeff Wald. Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
All right. How's the weather up there? Is it still cold?
Well, actually, we had severe thunderstorms not far from me here yesterday. We had in southern Minnesota, about an hour away from where I live here in the Twin Cities, we had 3 reported tornadoes. So
wow.
We had some big hail and some tornadoes, and no crazy damage or anything. They're out in cornfield territory, so nothing too crazy damage wise. Nobody hurt, so that's good. And now it's finally starting to warm up a little bit. We're going to get a little cooler on Saturday, maybe even a snowflake or two, but that's just temporary. It's going to be spring here before we know it.
91. It was 91 here today. So it's a little too warm too quickly. I need to ease into it.
Right. Well, full disclosure, I was in Orlando, Florida last weekend. It was mid-80s. So I got away for a couple days to get into the nice weather and play some golf. So
there you go. How's the golf game? Golf game good?
It's about where I wanted to be for mid-April. I was able to shoot in the 70s twice, and no, I played 2 balls and played a bit of a scramble because I was by myself. So full disclosure. Okay. But no, I played 2 really nice golf courses near the resort we were at, and had a great time. And now we're back to reality this week and getting ready for the NFL draft. Hard to believe it's a little over a week away.
Nice. So let's get into some Minnesota sports here. Last time I talked to you was a couple months ago. Is JJ McCarthy on the way out?
Because you're just gonna rip the Band-Aid off, huh?
Yeah, I was I thought they would go after Burrow. I know there were rumblings in the background that they actually made a play for him at some point, but the Bengals, I think, shot it down, from what I was told.
Well, the only way you can be hung up on it is if you make the call. So I got to imagine the asking price was pretty hefty, way more than the Vikings were ever willing to pay. And then we come to learn that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah gets dismissed after Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl ring. So put those lines together, if you will. No, I don't think he's on the way out at all. I do think we have a similar situation to what played out 2 years ago with Sam Darnold. Obviously, Kyler Murray signing. I was, until they signed him, I was under the full impression that McCarthy would be the 2026 starter. Obviously, that's changed now with Kyler Murray signing a 1-year deal. He's obviously seeking the same type of year statistically anyway, and record-wise too, but a record similar to what, or a year similar to what Darnold had 2 years ago with the Vikings. Sort of, in a sense, resurrecting his career. I know he's been derailed a little bit by injury. I know we make the joke about him playing video games instead of reading the playbook. There was, the joke about the clause in his contract with the Arizona Cardinals. So clearly now he is, barring something catastrophic like an injury, or if he just is that bad in training camp, Kyler Murray will be the starter week 1 for the Vikings. And obviously McCarthy's going to do his process and he'll be ready to go if his name is called upon. The question will be is if Kyler Murray has a good enough season where they explore extension talks to keep him in Minnesota, because obviously his goal is to play well enough to get another contract and get paid. The question then becomes what do you do with McCarthy, and he becomes a trade piece in the offseason. And I think they're more willing to do that this time next year if Kyler Murray does play well, because the regime that brought him in really isn't here anymore. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is gone. And for that matter, Kevin O'Connell, even though he just got a contract extension, his seat's starting to get a little bit warm because it's 4 seasons now and he hasn't won a playoff game. So his seat's getting a little warm. So it's a little more tense than everybody would like to admit over there right now. So I'll be curious to see what they do in the draft. But no, that's a very long-winded way of saying no. I don't think McCarthy's going anywhere. They've invested too much in him to just show him the door after 3 seasons, and he's been hurt too much. So they gotta see him healthy and consistently on the field to make a judgment on him.
Surprised they kept Jones?
I am. I thought he was maybe the grass isn't always greener on the other side, because all expectations were he was going to enter free agency and try to get his payday. But again, another guy who, had some struggles last year because of injuries. He had a hamstring injury early in the year and put him on IR. After that, he was kind of in and out. Didn't have the greatest year stat wise. So I thought maybe he was going to go to another team in sort of a more of a prove it deal. And obviously they were able to negotiate with, his deal was not at all what they were going to pay him this year. I forget what the numbers were. I want to say it was like over $10 million or something, but yeah, I am a little surprised that he agreed to a restructured contract to stay here. And that just kind of goes to show he is loved in that locker room. He is a leader on the team and of the offense. And he respects his teammates and they respect him back. So in that sense, I'm not surprised, but I just am that it worked out the way it did.
Let's look ahead to the draft. I have down here, what do I have written here? What they need. They need offensive line depth from what I was seeing.
A lot.
Defensive tackle and safety is what I have here.
Yeah, I mean, the names for me that keep popping up are, I believe it's Dylan Thieneman, the safety at Oregon. He, in theory, is your plug-and-play safety for when Harrison Smith decides to call it quits. We have not gotten any indication from Harrison Smith himself about what he's going to do. Everyone sort of assumed with his send-off in Week 18 last year at US Bank Stadium, he was pulled from the game in the fourth quarter, got a standing ovation from the fans, got a tribute on the Jumbotron. Everyone sort of assumed that was his last game with the Vikings. And then he said in the locker room, he goes, it kind of felt like I was in my own funeral. It felt weird. So his career is not dead yet, and they're going to let him take his time to make his decision. He's the longest tenured player on the roster. He's one of the most respected guys on that team. So I'll be curious to see, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they use the first round pick on safety just to have his pseudo replacement, on the roster this year to groom him in and let him be. Like you said, defensive line is also an area of need. They've had a couple of departures in free agency. Jonathan Hargrave's gone. Jonathan Allen is gone. Javon Hargrave's gone. We don't know what's going to happen with Jonathan Grenard yet. He was the subject of some trade rumors in the offseason because I think he's due north of $20 million, and he missed a chunk of last year, the end of last year, with a shoulder injury, required surgery. He did have a good year before he got hurt. He was on pace to have a pretty good season. So I'll be curious to see if they can get what they want in a trade. But as of right now, he's still on the roster. So you're looking at defensive line, you're looking at safety. There's talk of a third receiver because you have, obviously you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, who they decided to pick up the fifth-year option despite some of the issues off the field. But they did lose Jalen Naylor to the Las Vegas Raiders in free agency. So now you don't have a true number 3 receiver on the team right now. And even the Oregon tight end has been a name that's been out there because TJ Hawkinson coming back on a restructured deal, and we don't know how much longer he's going to be with the Vikings. So you try to groom somebody else for that position, and I don't know what the future holds for Josh Oliver either. So there's a lot of possibilities. And to your point, the offensive line, you've got Christian Darrisaw coming back, but you lose your center Ryan Kelly to retirement. That's more of a business decision and a health decision for him with his concussion history. And you had 2 guys in Michael Juergens and Blake Brando who have played the position, just not consistently and not enough starts to prove that they're capable of, playing a 17-game season at center. So, offensive line's not out of the question for that first-round pick. And they have, I believe, I checked it this morning, they have 4 top 100 picks. So I'll be curious to see what the strategy is going into next weekend.
And I said what they need. Did you say a lot?
Yeah,
that's what I heard you say.
They need a lot. Yeah. I mean, you could point to every level of both the offense and defense, and they need talent of some in some capacity at every level of both the offense and defense.
Let's switch gears.
The truth hurts, Ryan.
What's that?
The truth hurts.
Hey, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I can't complain. We got our running back. Hopefully he stays healthy. So we just need help everywhere else.
Right. Yeah.
So let me go to the NBA first.
Sure.
Ain't going to be easy. You get Denver to start in the first round. Obviously Jokic, I think he's the MVP this year. I know people are saying Shea. I just think it could be Jokic. That's the kind of year he's had. Look, anything's possible, but it's going to be tough.
Right. So Sunday was one of the more comical days to end a regular season in the NBA because you had the Lakers and you had the Nuggets, who were both trying to lose, and the circumstances didn't work out for the Lakers to get that 3 seed. And the Timberwolves would have loved when they locked up the number 6 seed last week. Given the injury situation with both Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, you would love nothing more than to face that team first round, almost sort of not a bye, because you just never know with LeBron James. He can take his game to another level and flip that switch at any time. So not by any means a gimme, but certainly an easier road to the semifinals than facing the Denver Nuggets. You've got, in doing research for some stuff online this week, they've met in the postseason now 3 out of the last 4 years. The Nuggets won 3 of 4 this season during the regular season. Timberwolves got the last one. But 2 years ago, they had the epic 7-game series, and they go to overtime in Game 7, and the Timberwolves get the win on the way to going to the Western Conference Finals. To me, it comes down to, Joker's going to get his. He's, to your point, he's one of the best players in the league, if not the MVP. I'm scared about this series. I'm worried about Jamal Murray because he can go off at any point. He can shoot the ball. He can drive. He can find teammates. I'm also worried about Aaron Gordon. He has been, for as long as I can remember, he has loved to kill the Timberwolves. He can shoot, he can rebound, he can defend. I don't love that matchup with him. I don't know who's going to guard him. You've got problems all over the place, and there's a reason why right now that Vegas has them. If you're a gambling man, I'm not saying I am, but if you're one of those people, there's a reason why the Nuggets are right now. They're fairly heavily favored to win this series, and the Timberwolves, despite a 49-33 record this year, they have done a lot of what I call playing with their food. It has not been pretty at times. They have done what I call, they play the best teams in the league. They play them great, and they win games against some of the top teams, and then they lose to the Atlanta Hawks, or they lose to a team that's missing 6 guys. They're still capable of losing to anybody, which if you have a standard you want to play to make a run in the playoffs, you can't just beat the good teams. You got to put away the teams that should be put away, to help you when, to give you some room for growth when you have games that you're not favored in that are going to affect your playoff seeding. You got to put those, gimme games, as they say, you got to put them away. And the Wolves just haven't done that consistently enough this year. The one interesting nugget I will say is it looks like Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels are both back healthy. They both played against the Rockets late last week just to kind of get a sweat before the playoffs. And the team actually practiced at Target Center today, not at their practice facility. So I think that maybe sent a little bit of a message from the coaching staff and Coach Chris Finch. I think that sent a little bit of a, let's get serious now. This is, no more playing around right now. This is the playoffs. It's time to be serious.
And we switched to the NHL. Again, it's not going to be easy because they have the Dallas Stars in the first round.
How about being the third best team in the NHL and being a wild card and having to go on? How fair is that, right? If there's ever a case to redo the NHL playoff seeding system, this is it right here. It's actually kind of one of the fun debates going on here in this area is who has a better chance of advancing in the first round, the Wolves or the Wild. And if I had to say right now, if you had to force me to make a decision, I would probably say the Timberwolves. But I have not watched a lot of Dallas Stars hockey this year. But clearly they're the number 2 team in the West behind the Colorado Avalanche. So you've got 3 of the best teams in the league in the same division. That's just absurd. But this Wild team has put itself in a position. I mean, quite frankly, they haven't advanced in the playoffs in a decade, and they put themselves in a position with all the acquisitions they've made. Obviously, the big one is acquiring Quinn Hughes this year. He's obviously given them a spark in their skate, to use that cliche. And they have had stretches where they could have taken their foot off the gas down the stretch here when the Stars started to pull away with the points, and they haven't. I mean, they're playing right now, and they're resting a lot of guys that shouldn't be playing to risk injury before the playoffs. But I'll be curious to see. I mean, it's the fans here. The tough part about having 2 playoff teams in the West in the same market is you're going to have a lot of nights with some coffee because there's going to be some 8 and 9 o'clock puck drops and basketball tip-offs. So it's going to be a lot of late nights coming up here. But I mean, I think the Wild have as good a chance as any to advance as they ever have because Bill Guerin has done quite the job of assembling a roster that's got depth, it's got talent, it's got scoring. Kirill Kaprizov's having a great year. Joel Eriksson's having a good year when he's been healthy. You've got Matt Boldy, who's a up and rising star in the NHL, and you've got one of the best defensemen in the league. So if you get good goaltending and you score some goals, anything can happen.
The Major League Baseball season is a little bit squirrely as I look at all the standings here. But the Twins, along with the Guardians, sit on top of the division. Are you surprised at the start or no?
Hell yes, I'm surprised. to be completely honest with you, we had a joke in our afternoon editorial meeting at the station yesterday that the Twins are tied for the best record in baseball, and I'm like, guys, it's 16 games in. Let's calm down. And as I say that, the Twins currently have a 3-0 lead on the Red Sox tonight. So I guess I have some crow to eat here, but sometimes all you need is some new faces and some fresh blood on a roster to maybe rejuvenate yourself. You got rid of Rocco Baldelli in the offseason. He took this franchise a long ways and winning a playoff game and winning a playoff series a few years back. And then they dismiss him after. I mean, quite frankly, he was the scapegoat for issues that were not his fault. If we're being completely honest. His hands were a little tied with the roster decisions that were made last year. And don't even get me started with the ownership and slashing payroll after they won a playoff series. But that's a conversation for another day. But you have Baldelli's out. Derek Shelton is in, and he's got previous managerial experience. The Twins executive vice president, Derek Falvey, decided to step down, and they've got Jeremy Zoll's in charge of the front office now. I'd be lying if I said I knew a lot about him, but everyone sort of expected this season to kind of fall apart right away when Pablo Lopez goes down about 10 pitches into spring training with an elbow injury. Tommy John surgery, he's out for the year. But Joe Ryan has stepped up into that number 2 spot in the rotation. Other guys that have, you've got Byron Buxton, you've got Royce Lewis, you've got Brooks Lee. Some bats have warmed up here in early April, and I was stunned when I heard on the radio the other day that the Twins have 16 home games in April. I'm like, do the people that put this schedule together know what Minneapolis is like in April? Like, we have a chance to go on Saturday. It's like, what are we doing here? But so far, I mean, it's funny when you talk to athletes and coaches about, if they're doubted or if they're, people are counting them out. They'll manufacture whatever chip on their shoulder they need to be motivated to play. And so far, they've done their job. But get back to me in July. That's what I'm going to say. Let's see what happens here after about a month or two and see where they're at.
A couple of more things I'll get you out of here. Frozen Four. Was it aggravating that Minnesota Duluth lost to Michigan, or was it more aggravating that Wisconsin made the final?
Wisconsin. I mean, if you're a Minnesota fan, anytime Wisconsin has success, it's bitter. I mean, that's just is what it is. To your point, quite the shakeup in the local hockey scene here, with both Bob Motzko and Brad Frost being relieved of their duties. So the men's hockey coach is now Brett Larson, the former St. Cloud State coach, and now Brad Frost was fired, and on the women's side, and his case is a little more interesting because his program has been consistently more dominant over the last decade, but they also haven't won a national title since 2016. So they promoted one of the assistant coaches to the head job, and that remains to be seen how that'll go. But yeah, I mean, anytime Wisconsin reaches a national title, and I actually watched a chunk of that game against Denver on our flight home from Florida, and I'm not mad that Wisconsin lost at all. Trust me. But at least here, the Frozen Four is the standard. So when you have a men's program that wins 11 games and doesn't even sniff the NCAA tournament, there's going to be some change. Something's got to happen. Right. And to Mark Coyle's credit, the athletic director, he is not afraid to, as he calls it, shake the tree when it needs to be shaken. And he decided to make a move. And everybody I've talked to that's even remotely close to the program says it's a home run. Says Brett Larson is an absolute home run hire. So we'll got to prove it on the ice, but we'll see what happens here starting like next November.
And then the last thing here, I saw a Minnesota spring game, the 25th, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's next Saturday, if my math is right.
It's real late in the season, but still. Look, what are we looking for in the spring game? What are we looking for here in this the spring game as we're heading into the summer?
Well, do you want the rainbows and unicorns answer? Or do you want the real answer? Because the real answer,
I want the real answer.
Well, you're looking for absolutely nothing, to be quite frank. Nobody of any merit's going to actually put on pads and play. Like, you're not going to have Drake Lindsay might play one series, but I highly doubt it. Darius Taylor's not going to play, the standout running back. I highly doubt any of the anticipated starters are going to play the spring game. And to go off on a tangent here for a second, this is the first spring game the Gophers have had in 5 years, since I believe 2021, the year after COVID, they had one. And for various reasons, you've got the transfer portal window changed. So now you have kids that, PJ Fleck is, for as self-aware as he is as a head coach, he's also one of the most paranoid coaches I've ever met in my life, because the minute somebody in an offseason shows an ounce of success, another team comes calling and wants them to come for some sort of payday now with revenue sharing and with NIL. So you're paranoid when anybody does well in the spring practice that they're going to leave for a higher paycheck somewhere else. You don't have that problem this year with the transfer portal window, changing. So that's a large reason why they're even having the game in the first place. Up here, he's used the excuse of weather and other stuff for not having it, and that's somewhat true. But really, he in the past he was paranoid about losing players. The spring game for Coach Fleck and the Gophers is really about the depth players getting a chance to play what they call meaningful snaps in like a scrimmage-like atmosphere. You're going to have a crowd. There'll be a few thousand people. It'll be a decent atmosphere if the weather's good. But you have guys that'll be taking their first snaps in a public, game-like atmosphere. And the thing is, how do they react? Do they make mistakes? Are there turnovers? Are there missed tackles? Are there drop passes? Are plays not getting called correctly? Little things like that. I look for, some of the backup running backs to see how they do. I want to see how there's an unknown quarterback, Max Chicken-Jancy. He's a local kid. He's also, I think, a walk-on, but right now he's the slated number 2 quarterback if Drake Lindsay were to get hurt. I'd be curious to see how he looks. You've got Jalen Smith and Javon Tracy at wide receiver. They both made a few splashes last year. You've got sort of a new offensive line with guys that didn't have a ton of experience from last year. But but it's so tough to gauge a scrimmage because so few of the actual projected starters will play. Just you don't want to risk a major injury in the spring before you set them off before they come back in August.
I have to ask you this real quick, and then I'll let you go.
Absolutely.
Places like Minnesota, the fans, especially when it comes to football. I know it's a hockey town. I get it, the whole 9 yards. But when Minnesota fans see what Curt Cignetti has done in Indiana, do they sit back and go, why can't we do something like that here?
How much time you got? That's a very 30,000 foot view type of conversation. And I will say that, PJ Fleck has done everything he possibly could to raise the ceiling of this program now for entering his 10th year. And I think he's an absolutely perfect fit for this program for what he does. In terms of both from a coaching and from a recruiting and raising money standpoint. To your point, Indiana they just put all the chips on the table. They paid Cignetti. They knew he was a valid coach coming from where he came from. They knew he could win. I mean, he even said it jokingly at his introductory news conference, "I win, Google me." And it's like, well, that's a little wild to say. Coaches are usually tight-lipped, and he's letting it fly. But it's more so the University of Minnesota sort of has to change its philosophy if they want sports to truly exceed at the revenue generating level. You've got a board of regents who, they don't necessarily always view sports as the front door to the school, where if you want to win national championships, you have to pay up. You have to pay the top players in the country their requisite money to either commit to your program or to stay in your program. PJ Fleck, I think, is 10th of 18 in terms of coaching salaries in the Big Ten. That's just got to be higher. Like it's okay, but it's got to be higher than that if you want to consistently compete, be in the top six and be in the conversation for the college football playoff. Because between TV revenue and NIL, if you got you're one season of contending for a Big Ten title away from having a couple of big donors open their wallets and say, "What do you need? I got a blank check for you." And that's really all it takes to consistently compete in college football right now. There's a reason why the Alabamas and the Tennessees and the LSUs and the Oregons of the world are good every year. It's because they've got donors who will write checks, and they're okay with writing a 7 or 8 figure check and saying, "Go get the guys you need. I got your back." And we need more of that here. That's probably the biggest reason why so far, every year it seems like the Vegas over-unders are, 6.5, 5.5, sometimes 7.5. And we consider it a success when we win 8 games that includes a bowl game. And you're allowed to have higher standards than that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Jeff Wald at Jeff Wald Fox 9, digital sports reporter for at Fox 9 Sports. Covers the Vikings, Gophers football, all things Minnesota sports. Married, by the way. Dog owner and a CrossFit enthusiast. His golf game is exponentially better than mine. When I hear people shooting in the 70s, I went out on Saturday. The first time I've been out in 7 months. And I always tell people I play military golf. Left, right. My golf game needs work. So to hear you shooting in the 70s and it's April, being from Minnesota, it makes me sick to my stomach, to be quite honest with you.
Well, it's not regular this. It can be 75, it could be 92. It just depends on the day. Every day is a little different.
All right, my friend. I will have to pick your brain after all these playoffs are over.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to. It's going to be weird covering 2 teams in the playoffs and potentially having the NFL draft on a night of a playoff game next Thursday. That could be interesting, but it's going to be a busy time. But that's what you want right now. You want playoff, teams to get in the playoffs, and you want playoff runs, and you want sustained success. So here we go. Let's see what happens.
And I think it's T minus, what is it? 5 months? No, 5 or 6 months till Paul Bunyan's axe.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about that yet.
Hey, it's April. I'm psyched because we're 3 months away from Coach's Media Days. I eat, breathe, and sleep college football. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I cover all sports. I follow all sports, but college football, even though there's madness going on, there's just nothing like a college football atmosphere.
Here's how fraudulent college football is in my mind. There's nothing like having Big Ten media days in late July in Las Vegas. Like, what are we like what are we doing? You know, it's like put them in Indianapolis, put them in Chicago, but no, all the coaches want to go to a warm weather climate in July. So let's go to Vegas because that's where everything is these days. But
All right, buddy.
I love college football. I love Saturdays in the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. It's Jeff Wall, ladies and gentlemen. Minnesota sports extraordinaire, as I call him. Yeah, man. Timberwolves, Nuggets. We'll see. NBA playoffs, anything can happen. I've seen Denver go through some bad stretches this season. And when it comes to the NHL, the best playoffs on the planet, because you just don't know what's going to happen in the NHL playoffs. NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs, you sort of have a gut feeling. But when it comes to the NHL, you have no clue. So I'm going to end it there. Again, thanks for him tuning in tomorrow. There'll be another edition of Early Evening Sports Buffet with the Ginch here on the Cole County Entertainment Network. And might do some NFL 4-down territory because we are approaching the draft in a couple of weeks. So, as I say at the end of each show, practice compassion, practice empathy, have passion for what you do. Hug somebody every once in a while. You might make that person's day. Tell somebody you love them. You might not get a second opportunity. And for Christ's sake, if you see somebody struggling, whatever fashion it is, ask questions, inquire what's bothering them. How can you help? How can you get this person help? Because you might not just be saving a life. You might be saving a multitude of lives. So have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the playing game. Oh, I'll give you an update. NBA playing game. 9th place, 10th place. Right now, we're in the third, and the Heat have a slim 1-point lead against the Hornets, 61-60. There is only one thing left for me to do, and that's for Dandy Don Meredith to take me out. Have a good night, everybody.
Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night, the party's over. And tomorrow and next year starts the same old thing again.